Welcome to Wednesday Night Coffee with Kollecting Kaos. I'm wearing something kind of warm because it's still kind of cold down here in Texas. Was kind of strange finding out that the winter storm that hit all went to the south of me. I didn't get any of it, but it definitely hit down along the coast pretty hard too. Last I heard, New Orleans got 5 inches of snow. I don't ever remember there being snow in New Orleans, but be that as it may, we're here. I have my coffee. I've got 2 heaters in this room because it's the only one that I can keep even slightly warm. I've got some comics that I've pressed that I'm going to show you. I've got some lost and found stuff and other stuff that I knew I had somewhere, but I didn't know where it was, and I found some of it. I don't have anything new today, but I do have a couple of comic books that I'm going to offer at a very reasonable price, and I might offer some other stuff too at also very reasonable price. And when I say reasonable price, I'm talking about $1 a piece. You can't get much more reasonable than that for a comic book. So yeah, that's where we're going to sit. We'll go ahead and kick this off with what I pressed. One of which I think I'm going to press it again. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Starting off with something from my own collection, Sea Devils, number 26. It's a good comic. I mean, that's the condition, is good. Low grade. I might even say good minus, but I like it. I always liked the Sea Devils. And then I've got, I went ahead and pressed this. This is, and cleaned it. This is Lois Lane number 112. It turned out pretty good. I'll probably still offer it for the same price I had before, which was $5. So yeah, that's that shouldn't have shown up. But yeah, that's I'll end up offering this probably on the next Friday auction for $5. And then this one I cleaned and pressed the best I could. I had to do a little work to it because it had a really bad spine roll. It isn't as bad now. It's still not in the best condition. This is Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 52. I have a little bit better copy that's in the press now, I think. Now, this next one doesn't belong to me. I pressed it for Mr. U, but I think I'm going to press it again because there's a dent in the spine that didn't come out. And that's this, What If Phoenix Had Not Died. This is What If number 27. And I got all of the dents out of the spine except for one that's right about here. So I'm probably going to rework this one, repress it again, and try to make it come out the way I want it to. Next up, we have Lois Lane, number 133. Again, it had a pretty bad spine roll that I took out. And this one, I think this one is going to end up in my collection. I don't remember if I have this one or not. I'll have to check my list. This is Laugh Comics, number 157. Looks a little bit better than it did before. Again, it's going in my collection. I haven't decided to sell off my Archies yet. I am thinking about it. Let me get these the way they're supposed to be. There we go. Charlton Comics, this is Blondie, number 221. couldn't resist it, had to get it. I cleaned it, I pressed it, turned out pretty nice. I actually did a video of me cleaning this one, so if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to watch that. Check it out. Then we have Starfire number 7. I did a light cleaning on this one. I pressed out some problems that it had in the spine, some of which I didn't get as well as I might. But this one will be going back up for sale. This one is going in my collection. This is a Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane number 30. Turned out really nice. Again, I had to clean it. That was just a clean and press is all this got. It didn't need any major work on the spine. It does have a lot of spine creases in it, but nothing that I could really get out. So I didn't worry too much about that. This one was in my collection. I cleaned it, pressed it. Happy with how it turned out. Archie number 286. And we have new Terry tunes featuring Heckle and Jekyll. Again, it's going in my collection. It's a low-grade copy, but it's a Dell comic. So, yeah, I keep Dell comics when I run across them. Next up, I have Moonstruck number 1. This had some dents along the spine. They're not there anymore. I got rid of those. This came out really well. I did this one mostly to work on my procedures on how to get the dents out. I did it after I did the what if. That's why I'm probably going to do the what if again. That one will be available for sale. Same thing with this. It had dents in the spine. I got them out. It looks really nice now. Judge Dredd number 1. I figured as long as I was pressing that one, I might as well press number 2, 3, and 4. These are part of my collection. This next one, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Unfortunately, it has spine stress creases that they break color, so there's nothing I can do about them, but they don't have dents in them where they break color. And of course, that's Secret Wars number 8, which I did for Mr. U. This will go in his box to be shipped back to him once I get the other one finished. But I do want to do the other one again. And that was the what if, so that'll go to him. This one I picked up last week. I went ahead and cleaned it. I pressed it. I like the way it turned out, but I'm not going to keep it. And it's, as seen on TV, King Arthur and his Knights of Justice. This is number 2. It was a 3-part series that I'd never seen before. Came out right around 1994. Here's a copy of Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane number 45. This one is going in my collection. Really nice copy, made better when I pressed it, although it does have some problems on the back cover. I really like the way that one turned out. Next up is Lois Lane number 48. Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane number 48. Again, it's going in my collection. I just... yeah, I like this one a lot. So I'll be keeping that in my collection. I'm approaching having half of the Lois Lanes now. I'd like to have about 75% of them, 3/4 of them, of the Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane by the end of 2025. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. And that's what I pressed. Now, next week, I won't have as many because I didn't press anything today. I got tired of going in there and having my fingers frozen. My pressing station, of course, is in the utility room. It averaged 33 degrees this morning, and I just went, I'm not messing with it. That's what it's been the last 3 days in there, and I got tired of messing with it, so I'm taking a day or two off from pressing comics. Doesn't mean I won't clean them. It means I'm not going to bother pressing them for a little while. Now, let's take a look at some of the things that I thought were lost, but now they're found. And we'll start off with a poster. Well, it's kind of a poster. Amazingly enough, I checked this on eBay, and these go for about $25, $20 to $25. I was surprised. I didn't think it'd be worth that much. And I actually have two of them. I'm keeping one, and here's the other. So I will be offering this up for sale at some point. Have not yet decided exactly what I'm going to charge for it, but yeah, if you want to get one right away, you can go to eBay and pick one up for like $20, $25, $30, whatever you want to pay. So that's that one. And like I said, I'll be putting that up for sale eventually. And then there's this one. This one, I'm going to have to put in, I don't want to sell a price on it. And that's what I'm going to do. It's a poster. It's a promo poster. You couldn't buy these in the store. And it's Superman. This is the Centennial poster that was a promotional item. And I'm probably going to offer this one up for sale. Simply because I have too many posters already and I don't really need it. But I'll probably be asking, they go for at least $15. So that'll give you a ballpark of what I'm thinking. Next, I have Volume 1, Number 1 from 1995, The Entity Express. But this isn't just this is actually a it has a Nira X poster. Now, I'm not going to take it out of the bag and board and show you, but it does have a nice Nira X poster. I believe this is the actual poster here, but it folds out and there's a poster on the back. And these are going, not being priced at, but have sold for $25, $30, $35. I think I'm going to ask $20 for this one when I do offer it for sale. Next, we have Cyber Surfer number 2. Yeah, it is. It's kind of neat. Just here browsing. Glad to see you could stop by. This is Cyber Surfer number 2. This is, yeah, the magazine of entertainment and technology. Again, these from 1995. The prices that I saw on them were $25, $30. I'll probably opt for this one for $20 on the next Friday night sale. I haven't decided yet. Of course, anything I put a price on, anything I say a price on that I say I might put it up for sale or I will put it up for sale, you can make an offer on it. Just hit me up on Instagram. Let me put my little thing on there so people can see it. You hit me up on Instagram, or you can send me an email. Either way, I don't need that bottom part of it. Yeah. Hit me up on Instagram is probably the best way to go. Or put it in the comments. I read every comment, and I do I reply to every comment. Next up, another promotional item. I searched the web for about 4 hours today looking for this. I found a similar one in white. But I couldn't find the black Techno Comics one. Now, the one in white came out in 1996, 1997, right around there. This actually, when Big Entertainment became, when Techno Comics became Big Entertainment, this one came out in 1995. It was the first release of the flying disc that they did. And since I couldn't find one, and this is still in the original packaging, I'm going to put a stupid price of $50 on it. And I'll probably list that on eBay unless somebody wants to pay me for it. But that's, yeah, I couldn't find one anywhere, not in black, not like this. And like I said, it's a flying disc. It's from 1995. I got it when it first came out. I've had it ever since. Next, a little G.I. Joe vehicle. This is part of a set. I don't have the rest of it. This is the auto load servo from G.I. Joe, and I'm probably going to ask $10 for it. It is missing the two little orange guns that go on either side. I looked around for them. I couldn't find them. I don't think I have them. So probably going to offer that up for sale. Not probably. I'm definitely going to offer that up for sale. Then I found a Star Wars Interceptor. It's complete. The stickers are a little bad. I could actually make new stickers for it, but I'm not going to. I'll let whoever gets it do that. I'll probably ask $25 for this. They go for a lot more. They go for anywhere from $30 to $150, depending on condition and depending on if it's in the box or not. So that's what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to offer that up for sale. Probably ask $25 for it. I think that's a very reasonable price for that. It is from 1981. And finally, I found my dewback. It does have the saddle. It has the collar, but the reins are missing, which is a darn shame because if it had the reins, it'd be like a $50 or $60 toy. Without the reins, not so much. I'll probably ask $30 for it. I did put another poster up here. That's a Fantastic Four Heroes Reborn poster. $3 if anybody wants it. The posters I hang over there are always for sale. All you have to do is, if you're interested in one, ask. And that is my lost and found stuff. It's a shame I don't have anything new this week to show. But like I said, I have a couple of comic books here I'm going to offer. When there's a few more people. I did a lot of comic book cleaning this week. Didn't take pictures of it, but I did a lot of comic book cleaning this week. I probably should have been recording it, but stuck inside, don't want to go out because it's too cold. I mean, when it's too cold for me to go fishing, it's cold. I don't like fishing when it's below 40 degrees. And that's pretty much the way it's been here. But yeah, I have quite a few comics to show a little bit later on. If you have any questions about anything that I've shown, or you have any questions about comics, cleaning them, grading them, doing whatever, feel free to put it in the comments. Let me know so we can talk a little bit. Otherwise, this is going to be a very low show. This is a dewback from Star Wars. 1979, which is probably The Empire Strikes Back, or maybe it was from the first one. Might be from A New Hope. I don't remember. 79, it probably was. And of course, you move the tail and the head moves. The legs are all in pretty good shape. It stands really well. I don't believe that. I don't think the saddle's ever been off of it. The saddle's a big deal on the dewback. I've got so much stuff lying around that isn't funny. I really have to get it all cataloged and figure out what I've got. It's a slow process, but it is a process. How you doing, Kenneth? Glad you could stop in. I think I've got one of those Darth heads somewhere. My mouse quit working, so I can't. I can't highlight anybody's posts because my mouse isn't working. I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's a good mouse. It's a Razer, but it's not working right. So I can't highlight any posts unless I want to log off and log back on, and that's not a good idea. I would try unplugging it and plugging it back in, but I don't think that would. They got snow in Texas. It was all south of me, Jocelyn. It all went way south of me. They had frozen rain and sleet about 15 to 20 miles south of where I am. All I got was cold. But yeah, they did get some snow down by the coast. But not where I am. Just fine with me. I don't like snow. I used to like snow. I'm not a big fan of it anymore. Why is my mouse not working? Looks like I'm going to have to get a new one. I don't understand. It's only like 7 or 8 years old. It should be working fine. Yeah, it's the light on the mouse has gone out. See? No more light on the mouse. That's not fun. Let me see if I can unplug it and plug it back in. Maybe that'll work. If I can figure out where it is, which plug it is. There it is. We'll try plugging it in the front. See how that works. Nope. Oh, wait, there it is. My mouse is back. Yeah, that's it. That's what Roy was saying. And matter of fact, he said that he hasn't been out of his house since Friday because I told him he needed to check his mail because the package I sent him almost 3 weeks ago finally arrived. And it took a while for that one to get there. It's kind of strange, but I cleaned and pressed a comic for him and did some work to it in addition to just cleaning and pressing. Fixed it nice, sent it to him as like a late Christmas present, and And he hasn't even seen it yet. And I'm not going to say what it is until after he's seen it and had a chance, because I don't want to ruin it for him. But I did show it. It was a comic that I showed. I don't know if I showed it here or if I showed it on his channel, but I did show it. Yeah, it's oh, I'll have to show that again. That one. What was it? I don't think she's going to want it, but I'll show it again just because it's got the Next Generation Enterprise on it. So I'll show it again just because Jocelyn's here so she can see that. She got some goodies from me. I sent her a couple of posters when I sent her last order out, and a couple of free comics too. She got a couple of free comics, as I remember. Yeah, but Chicago's always cold. Even in the summer, it doesn't get anywhere near what it does down here. It might. You're welcome. No, Chicago has its share of nice weather, but when those winds come off of the yeah, it can get cold in Chicago. They usually get a pretty decent amount of snow, but this year's been strange. Think about it. New Orleans gets 5 inches, Chicago doesn't. To me, that's strange. In Chicago, in 5 inches in Chicago might be considered a light snow. I'm going to show some of these comics that I'm going to offer up for sale. They're $1 a piece. Everything in this stack is $1 each. So you don't have to ask what the price is because it's $1. If you see anything you want, you can claim it. Otherwise, I'll just go through them. And I may show some of those that I pressed. I may show some of those again later. Domino Hot Shots #3. It's $1, you know. Project Superpower Zero. Stormwatch #2. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. In Chicago, 5 inches of snow is, yeah, it's no big deal. Brigade #1. Again, like I said, these are all $1 a piece if anybody wants one. The Fly #5. The Fly Outbreak #5. Star Wars The High Republic. This is #2. The first year I lived in Texas, in 2002, we got about 6 or 7 inches of snow. Now, it might have been as much as 8 where I am, and that's unusual. That's an anomaly. But to me, it was no big deal. I went to work, and the guy went, "What are you doing here?" Because I came to work. He went, "We're not working today. It snowed." I was going, "So? You want fly outbreak, Jocelyn? Okay, no problem." I love that cover. It's a great cover. Ogre number 1. That's from 2018. Patrick, how you doing, buddy? Glad you could stop in. Kane number 15. Marvel .1 number 1. I might press that. It's not worth anything really, but I might press it anyway. Well, not worth anything to me, but might be worth something to somebody. Got you for Ogre. Star Wars High Republic Adventures number 4. Star Wars High Republic Adventures number 2. And if you're watching this on the replay, anything that isn't claimed of these comics that I'm showing, it will still be available up through Sunday. After that, I'm just going to go, nah. Drifter number 5. I'm not sure what number this is. Our House, His Home. It's a horror. I don't know what number it is, but it's by Angry Gnome Comics. So, let's take a look and see if I can find out what number it is. No number. It's a standalone. So, yeah. Our House, His Home. Again, these are all $1 a piece. Goners number 2. Got a kind of a cool back cover. X-Men Unlimited number 8. Got you for that one. X-Men and Alpha Flight number 2. Wraparound cover. Should probably keep that because I do collect Alpha Flight, but I probably won't. Who is Jake Ellis? Number 4, I believe it is. Number 4. Sky Pirates of Neoterra, number 5. This is Aquaman Convergence #2. Girl Frenzy, Young Justice, Secret, The Secret, #1. Marvel Double Action #1. Free Comic Book Day, Primos, #1 of 4. It also has the Spanish edition in it. Free Comic Book Day, Blackguard, and War Dance, or Wandance. Dark Arc Instinct, Free Comic Book Day, #1. The New Warriors, #8. Whoops, #18. Excuse me. There's a Marvel Voices, #1. Free Comic Book Day. And a Star Brand #3 newsstand. That's from 1986, I think, or 85. Grab another stack. And some more coffee. Marvel Voices. Got it. Heavy Hitters Feud #2. It's Epic, which is a Marvel comic called Marvel Epic. Die #1. Marvel Legacy, Fate of the Four, Thing in the Human Torch. This is Marvel Legacy #2. Marvel 2-in-1. And I've got #5 and I've got #6. We have the Marvels Project. Don't see a number on it. Magnus Robot Fighter #24. Astonishing X-Men #4. Nice Rogue cover. Part of the Age of Apocalypse story arc. Leave It to Chance, number 12. I like this series a lot. Didn't know this was in here. I think this is number 91. Yeah. Wolverine, number 91. I don't really know what's in this stack. I just grabbed a stack of comics. Thief of Thieves, number 5. Youngblood Battle Zone, number 1. Wraparound cover. New Warriors, number 17. Sable, number 8. It does have some damage to the edge here. Brigade, number 3. Youngblood Strike Files, number 5. Star Wars Yoda, number 8. Sounds like I sold something on eBay. John Sable Freelance, number 6. Tales of the New Teen Titans, number 1. This is the from the miniseries. And Tales of the New Teen Titans Raven. This is number 2 from the miniseries. Basically, it gives their origin story. Same thing with the Cyborg when it gives his origin story. Let's see. Here's another of the Age of Apocalypse story arc. Factor X, number 2. Youngblood, number 1. I think this is volume 2. I'm not positive to that. It is a wraparound cover. This is Wildstar, number 2. And number 4. Warlord, number 66. Power Lords, number 1. It's got some gum on there from a sticker. Here's Varric Chronicles of the Dark Prince, number 2 from Q Comics. Don't know anything about it. 20 years of Hellboy, Dark Horse Comics. This is Sir Edward Grey, Witchfinder #1. Mysteries of the Undead. Oh no. Mysteries of the Unland. Super Crooks #1. Siege #4. Armageddon the Alien Agenda #4. Batman Fortnite 0 Point #3. I think this is a second print. Yeah, this is second print. Still sealed in the bag. Hawk and Animal #1. New Talent Showcase #4. Superman 67. And I'll skip the next two because they're Superman 67. Didn't know that. Send #3. X 1999 #4. That's from Viz Graphics or Viz Comics. Autumn #5 from Slave Labor Graphics. Dead Life #1. It's in color. I didn't know that. Bloodshot #7. Sub diecast. And let's unplug it, plug it back in again. My mouse keeps dying on me. Let's see if we can do that again. There we go. Dead Life. Got you for that. I have a poster that I have to show. Found it, I lost it, I found it, I lost it, and I probably lost it again. Yep, lost it again. Now I was going to show the poster because I know it's one that diecast is going to want. And I don't know where it is now. Poster time's long past. We missed that. But I had one. Maybe it's up here. Maybe not. I just have too much stuff. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I lost it again. It's not important. It's just a Valiant poster. Nobody cares about that. I'll find it eventually. I've been teasing him about it for a while now, and I really want to show it to him because I think he'd like it. But I can never figure out what I did with it. I find it, put it in a place where I know I'll be able to find it again, and then I promptly forget where I put it. Oh, well, maybe next time. Here's Task Force Z number 2. Oh, you missed this one. Have you ever seen one of those before, diecast? Thrilling Comics number 1. This is part of the Justice Society Returns line. It's pretty good. I've read all of those. I liked them. Green Lantern, Circle of Fire, number 1. Yeah, I'm probably going to list this for a stupid price of around $50 because I took a picture of it, put it online, couldn't find it. I typed it in, couldn't find it, could not find one of these online. I found a white one that was made a few years later and has a slightly different profile, but not one like this. This one is in the classic Frisbee style. That's what I'll say. But it's not a Frisbee, it's a flying disc. No, it's a flying disc. It's not a Frisbee. Frisbee is a brand name. Green Lantern and Adam Strange, number 1. It's part of the Circle of Fire story arc. Green Lantern and the Atom, number 1. And like I said earlier, these are all $1 a piece. Green Lantern and Green Lantern, number 1. Did I show a Circle of Fire? Huh. I have another Thrilling Comics. Who knew? There's a Punisher number 24. First team appearance of Shadow Masters. Well, actually, it's Frisbee is the brand name, and if you take a good look at the packaging for Frisbee, a lot of times it'll say Frisbee Flying Disc. Punisher 2099, number 1, shiny. $1. Oh, I hope I have a copy of this in my collection. I'll be upset if I don't. Kazar, Lord of the Savage Land. Did you know Kazar is the oldest Marvel hero? People are going to argue. They're going to say, no, it isn't. It's Submariner, because Submariner was in Marvel Comics number 1. Kazar was also in Marvel Comics number 1, but it was a different Kazar. It was the original Kazar, who appeared in, I think, 1933 for the first time in a pulp magazine. So he actually predates Submariner, but they don't count him as the first Marvel hero because Submariner was in the first story. Kazar was in the last story in Marvel Comics number 1. Yeah, I have Punisher 2099 number 1, and that's about it. And Doom 2099, I think I might have a number 1 somewhere, but I'm not gonna swear to it. I used to have one. New Warriors number 9, part of the Secret Invasion. This one I'm not going to offer. This one I'm going to put off to the side. It's got, yeah, it's got a water stain on it, so I'm not going to offer it. I'll put that in my pile of things I'm going to end up giving away one day. Nomad number 3. Here's a Nova number 2. A Next number 8. Ron Perez did the cover on that. Or no, Ron Friends did the cover on that. Excuse me. Kind of a nice cover. Avengers number 398. So Avengers 722 or number 22, depending on how you want to go. It's from 2019. It's Avengers 31 or 731. The Last Temptation of Iron Man. It's Avengers number 288. John Buscema cover. There's Archangel number 1. This is not supposed to be in here. This is it's also a wraparound cover, and it's a $5 book. It's not supposed to be in here. Oh well. There's Ascane Sun number 4. And Codename Spitfire number 10. Yeah, he's secretly trying. Yeah, don't tell anybody, but Diecast is trying to complete a Punisher 2099 and a Doom 2099 run. Now, don't tell anybody, okay? Because it's a secret, you know. Just like it's a secret that I collect Archie comics, right? Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. This is the Brotherhood in person. I think this is number 8. It is in a newsstand, which is kind of rare for anything published after the year 2000. Bishop, the Last Man, or the Last X-Man, number 5. Yeah, I showed this one earlier too. This is another one of my lost and found items. The Dewback from Star Wars from 1979. An original Dewback, not the repop they did in the 90s. Bishop Xavier Security Enforcer, number 3. Thing is it Xavier, or is it Javier? All 3 are correct. Number 2. Here is The Beast #1 from 1997. Witchblade #23. Witchblade #24. Witchblade #28. Okay. Got it for you, Jocelyn. Tales of G.I. Joe #4. These are reprints, by the way. The Tales of the G.I. Joe series was all reprints. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Mega Dragon and Tiger #1 from Image Comics. It's another one of those Youngblood #1s. I'm pretty sure this is volume 2. Might even be volume 3. I should look. I should check and make sure. That's what we'll do. We'll check and make sure. And while I'm at it, I'll throw that nasty bag away. Volume 2, #1, Volume 2, September 1995. Don't know if it deserves a new bag and board, but we're going to give it one anyway. If I can get the. Yeah, it looks a whole lot better. It's a wraparound cover. I should have put the board in the center, but I didn't feel like it. Here's a Wild Core #3. It's another Wild Star #2. The Punisher and Night Stalkers #5. Has some kind of stain on the back. Stick that over with that New Warriors. And Spider-Man, manga Spider-Man #6. And that was all the dollar comics that I brought out today. Well, there was one more, but I'm keeping it because I didn't know this was in here. And I've been looking all over for it, so I'm going to consider this part of the lost and found department, because this actually does go in my collection. Like I said, I've been looking for it. So grab another bag and board here. I have magazine bags, Golden Age bags, and regular size bags up there. Yeah, this is the tour book that they put out in, I believe, 1998 or 1999 for Marvel Knights. And I've been looking for a copy of that to go with my Marvel Knights collection, which I have most of them. I don't have them all, but I do have most of them. But that's it for those comic books. Had quite a few. I'll have more later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's Jocelyn, there's 6 comics here. I'll just add them on to whatever your next invoice is. All right, if that's all right with you. Yeah, that's like I said, it was supposed to be part of my collection, and I couldn't find it because it was mixed in with those others. And all it is it gives a bit of a spotlight on the characters and on the creators, the people that are actually working on it. So that's why I wanted to keep that. Have no idea what the value of it is. Don't really care because I plan on keeping it. So, like I said, Jocelyn, I'll just add these on to whatever invoice you have next. And I'm not going to bill them for you right away. It'll probably be after the next time I'm on Horizon Pix channel. It's going to be a while. Or I might bill you for just the comics and you can pay the shipping the next time. We'll figure something out on that. I'm not too concerned with it. I know you're good for the money regardless, so not worried about it. But that's about all I've got. Guess we can chat for a while if you want. I've got 2 more giveaway comics for the future. Night Stalkers number 5 and New Warriors number 21. I could probably disassemble them and wash them and get all that, make them look nice, but it's not worth it. So again, Star Wars Interceptor, I had that. That was one of my lost and found items. The G.I. Joe Autoload Servo was one of my lost and found items. Dewback was part of my lost and found items. Techno Comics Flying Disc, lost, definitely found. I'm going to put that on eBay for way more than what it's probably worth, but that's okay because nobody else has one up there. Cyber Surfer number 2 was a lost and found item. The Entity Express number 1 with the Nira, that is basically a Nira X poster from 1995. That's one of my lost and found items. And of course, lost and found. Amazingly enough, I'm going to offer it up for sale because I had 2 of them. I'm not going to lie about that. Kollecting Kaos. I use the same name for everything. Then we have the Power of Shazam poster, lightning bolt poster, which doesn't want to come open. There we go. Lightning bolt poster. This one is actually worth a little bit of money. Surprise. And then, of course, I had the stuff that I pressed that I will be offering up for sale or that belong to other people. But yeah, that's it for, yeah, I liked that design. But like I said, You see them on eBay, $20 to $40. So I figured 25 is probably what I'm going to put on it, and with people allowed to make me an offer. Yeah. Instagram, Kollecting Kaos. eBay, Kollecting Kaos. YouTube, Kollecting Kaos. It all made sense. At least to me, it did. I've got 1,600 items up for sale on eBay. Well, maybe 1,599 now. I don't know. Apparently, I sold one. I'm going to go take a look and see what I sold. But I'm not really leaving anywhere. I'm still here because I checked that on a different. Yeah, I checked that on a different web browser. So what did we sell? Orders. Marvel Incredible Hulk 1991 Marvel Comics card set. That's good. Glad I sold that. So where is that? If I can find it. I think it's up here. Yeah, it's up here somewhere. In one of these. Why did I put cards up near the ceiling? I don't understand. I can't see that. Ah, there it is. And I found it. That is what I sold on eBay. The Comic Images Incredible Hulk set from 1991. Put some bubble wrap in there to keep it nice and send it off in the morning. And a couple of books, if anybody wants them. I have Job, A Comedy of Justice by Robert A. Heinlein. Highly recommend this book. This one is a book club edition, so like $2 is good on that. If anybody would like it, it is hardback. It is a hardcover. $2 if anybody wants it. Highly recommend it. It was a good read. I read it when it first came out. I have a hardback first edition of it that I thought got ruined in the flood, but it didn't. So yeah. And then I have the book that I just finished reading. If you're interested in the American Civil War, or not American, if you're interested in the Revolutionary War, I cannot recommend this book high enough. I'd like to get about $4 for it. That's about what it's worth in this condition. So great read, really put me in mind of what the actual soldiers had to go through during the American Revolution, in particular the winters. Really good book. Highly recommend that one as well. I'd like to get $4 for that one. So just thought I'd throw those out there in case anybody's interested. I like putting books on eBay, but they just don't sell for much. So yeah. I'm doing good, except for my my stupid mouse keeps quitting on me. Um, but I'm doing good. You got it. $4. I'm not going to bill you for it now. Whenever you buy something else, I'll put it on that order if that's all right with you. But I will stick it in your slot. I have a slot for you. See? V. So just trying to get it all caught up there. Apple, happy to see you. Glad to see you. New York is one of those kind of strange cities. No matter how cold it gets, it's not really cold because there's so many buildings. Uh, I visited New York in the winter one time, and it was surprisingly, on the way up there, we were freezing. When we got there, it seemed like it was warm because we were in the city itself. Now, if you get outside the city, it's a whole different story. So, yeah, that's yeah, yeah. The you get a big wind, it really can't go through unless you have a long stretch, a long street. Otherwise, it's like it can't go anywhere. Not me. I don't like it. You can have it. Living in Texas in a house that's 100 years old, when they built my house, but they didn't bother insulating it because it's Texas. It doesn't need insulation. Only gets cold a day or two. Yeah, it's been pretty cold here the last couple of days. uh, it's been in the 20s. My house in general is around 30 degrees. Um, Snow in Texas is not that unusual. Up in the Panhandle, they get a lot of it. In northern Texas, they get quite a bit every year. Here, less so. Sometimes we'll get a half an inch, a quarter to a half an inch. But south of me, they got some snow and some ice. I didn't get hit by the winter storm at all, but they got it pretty good south of me. It was really, really something else. And like I said earlier, New Orleans, 5 inches of snow. In New Orleans? Seriously? How did that happen? In Texas, they just closed I-10. They just closed it. Yeah, don't even try. Because we don't have snow plows. We don't have stuff to clear the roads. But it's kind of funny, too, because I grew up in Virginia, and of course, Virginia got snow a lot. And I know how to drive in snow, obviously, because that's where I learned to drive, right? So when we got snow back, I was still working at Walmart, and it's about a 14, 15-mile drive to Walmart, maybe a little further. I went to work. Yeah, okay, there's snow and ice on the roads. It's no big deal. I had a front-wheel drive car. I went to work. And when I got there, the people went, "What are you doing here?" Well, I came to work. Yeah, but you drive a little tiny car. How'd you get here? I drove. I gave myself plenty of time. You know, normally it'd take me 15 minutes to get to work. I gave myself 30 to 45 minutes to get to work. There were people that lived less than a mile away that called in because there was ice on the roads and they couldn't drive. they could have walked in less than 15 minutes. Where is that one? Nobody talks about the ozone layer anymore. I had somebody harassing me not long ago about the fact that I'm not vegan. I eat meat. I like meat. I like beef. I like chicken. I like pork. I like lamb. I like meat, you know. And they were getting on me. You can't eat that beef. Because I'm doing something terrible to the world by eating beef, apparently. So I told her, I said, no, I'm not. I'm saving the ozone layer. And she, what are you talking about? How do you mean you're saving the ozone layer? I said, cattle produce methane gas. Methane gas is one of the things that's destroying the ozone layer. So by eating beef, I'm helping to get rid of the things that destroy the ozone layer. And yeah, she just, I think I made her head explode or something. That no, not everyone does know how to drive in snow, especially down here. Nobody knows how to drive in the snow down here. Black ice is very bad. I assume when I drive in the winter, and especially if it's been freezing rain or sleet or anything like that, I assume every road is covered in an inch of ice, even though I know it isn't. I assume that it is, and I drive that way. So I drive slowly, steadily. I don't brake hard, and I don't speed up fast. I try to go the same speed. And when I need to stop, I'll start the stop a long way off. So I very slowly stop. And that's how I drive. That's how I learned to drive in the snow. And it served me fine. I've only gone off the road one time in the snow. And that's because I had a little Ford Ranger with no weight in the back. And yeah, it did me in. I went off the side of the road, snowbank, off the side of the road. Motorcycle gang, like 50 people pull up. What's the problem? Off the road, not sure how I'm going to do it. They said, where are you headed? And I said, I'm going home. You know, I'm going to leave. I had my army uniform, my dress uniform, hanging in the back. And he went, you're military? And I said, yes. He said, you're active duty? I said, yes. I'm trying to get home to Virginia to see my family. They said, okay, we'll help you. And I'm going, what? How are they going to help me? They surrounded my truck, my little Ford Ranger truck, picked it up, moved it over, and set it back on the road, and then they all took off. These guys are driving motorcycles on an icy highway. They got more balls than I do. I did make it home without further incident, but that was one of the most interesting things that's ever happened to me. They just picked up my truck in the snow and put it back on the road. Ford Ranger didn't weigh anything, especially it was an 84 Ford Ranger. Yeah, didn't weigh anything. After that, I tried not to drive it in the snow too much. And when I did drive it in the snow, I made sure I had some weight in the back. Because if there's no weight, the rear tires are just going to spin. They're not going to do too good. So, yeah, it's fun. Yeah, hydroplaning is not fun. And basically, it's the same thing on wet roads. And we do get our share of wet roads. but I've learned that if the road is wet and I can't see the road, in other words, there's water over the road. If it's more than about 1.5 inches deep, that means I can't see the bottom of the road, or I can't see the actual road. I don't drive over it. I will turn around. I will not drive over a water covered road, especially if the water's flowing. That is a good way to not live your life as long as you'd like to. I have seen areas in not too far from where I live where the water was only over the road about this deep. But once the water went down, there were potholes that deep in the water under the road where the road had washed out under it and it had sank. So I just assume if I can't see the road, I'm not driving over it. If there's enough water that I can't see the actual road, I'm not driving over it. The only exception to that is when we had the flood here and I needed to get out, I had to drive through water to get out. So I did it. Of course, when I did it, I was following a sheriff, so I felt pretty comfortable about that. And I do have four-wheel drive. Well, not four-wheel drive. It's all-wheel drive in my vehicle. I felt that was a necessary evil for where I live. But yeah, I used to, little PT Cruiser with front-wheel drive, and I'd drive in the snow. No big deal. I can make it. And these other people got paid for a snow day and didn't have to work. And I had to work. And I could have stayed home. But then again, when COVID hit, they didn't tell me that because of my age, I could take off 1.5 years. I could have spent 1.5 years still on the payroll, still drawing pay, and not had to work a day because I was over 65. Yeah. Actually, I think it was over 50 and you didn't have to come into work. But yeah, I went into work every day. I never missed a day during COVID. When I finally, what finally made me decide to not. Yeah, but you got a job that'll pay you if you sneeze too hard, so that doesn't count. And I'm also sure, Patrick, that if you wanted to do your job from at home, you could, and probably did. Yeah. But I get to work at home now. Unfortunately, I work harder now than I ever did the rest of the time. See, I told you he gets to stay home and work. But like I said, I get to work at home. See, all stuff that's for sale. Everything you see up there, there's a price on it. I might not know the price off the top of my head, but I'll find it out. I tried calling in sick the other day and it was disapproved. They wouldn't let me. My boss said, "Get my ass to work." Bad yeah, I'm my own boss, so that's really bad. Although today was the first time in 45 days that I have not pressed a comic book. And I have not cleaned a comic book. I put one in the press this morning but it was supposed to go in the press last night. And it was really cold, so I set the press up to warm up and come up to temperature and forgot about it. It came up, it went back down, went in there this morning to check on it and discovered the comic was never put in the press. Let the press heat up again, put the comic in, shut it down. It's been sitting there ever since. I'm not doing pressing today at all, or cleaning. I'll do that tomorrow. I'm taking the day off from that. Yes. Rules meant to be broken. I broke my own rules. I try to do 3 a day, and today I just said, nah, not going to do it. You gotta break the rules once in a while. That's why we have them, right? So we can break them. I am of the opinion, and people are going to disagree with me about this, of course. The American Revolution had some of the greatest countries in the world in it. Germany, the Hessian soldiers, were on the side of the British, as was Canada, and a lot of the Native American Indians were on the sides of the British. The colonies, the American colonies, had, of course, their own soldiers, French, and a little less so, but somewhat Spain on their side. You know, considering those were the known countries at the time, that's kind of a world war if you think about it. So, in my opinion, the First World War was actually the American Revolution, with the second being the First World War. People will disagree, but that's the way I think about it. I mean, you've got the only nation that wasn't part of it really was Japan. They were the only other nation at that time that could have made a difference. But of course, they were over on the Pacific exploring California at the time. They didn't have time for us. But yeah, you had France and Spain and the colonies versus the other great powers of the world. But yeah, I think you will really enjoy that book if you're interested in the American Revolution. It's just incredible. And it talks about one of the great leaders of the time and why he turned traitor. Of course, it was a tragedy, but yeah, Washington got mad and it didn't do too good. But he was a good general, and he led his troops. This is, like I said, it was really good, and it's actually not it's not a novel. It's based on the writings and diaries of people that were actually in the war, and it's from their point of view. So I think you'll enjoy it. he had a yeah, that's well, I mean, he'll give transcripts of the diaries and then embellish slightly on them, but it's basically everything in there is basically true. Diaries and journals. He talks about the winters and how the soldiers were the colonial soldiers really didn't have the equipment they needed to fight a war. A lot of them didn't even have shoes. They walked right out of their shoes. For instance, how many people know that the colonies actually invaded Canada during the American Revolution? I didn't know that. How many people know that at one point, about 5% of all of the colonial troops were either freedmen, freed black men, or slaves? And there was at least one case where a slave fought side by side with his master. They were on equal footing while they were in the military. They fought side by side. When they got out, the slave was offered his freedom. He went back to his master. This is stuff I didn't know. I didn't realize it, even though I've studied history a lot. And, being from the East Coast originally, of course, we studied the American Revolution, the Civil War, and up to maybe World War One, a little bit of World War One. But growing up in Virginia, it was 99% Virginia and U.S. history for 11 years. I was not. When I was in school, I was bored with history big time. Matter of fact, I hated history because they kept teaching me the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I had no idea what was going on in the rest of the world, only what was going on in the Americas or in America. And that is no way to teach history. You need to teach the global thing. And I can pinpoint when I fell in love with history. And it goes back many, many years. I was, I think, a sophomore in high school. And I had to write a report on the American Civil War, on the Battle of Bull Run or Manassas. And it was due on Monday. And this is I'm telling my dad about this. I gotta do this on the weekend. I gotta write this report, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, and blah 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 blah. He went, yeah, okay. 5 a.m. Saturday morning, he wakes me up. This is great. We're going fishing. I know we're going fishing. Now, he took me down to Manassas Battlefield Park, which is Battle of Bull Run, Manassas Battlefield Park. And we sat there and watched the sunrise. And as the sun was starting to creep up over the trees, he started talking about the battle that took place on that field. I didn't know my dad had studied all this military history. And he's telling me everything that's going on. And I'm just, wow. That was the moment I fell in love with history. Because it was a bonding moment for me and my dad. I wrote my report based a lot on what he had told me and basing other parts from other things. And my teacher, when they were passing back, the reports with the grades, she didn't give me mine. She said, I'll see you after class. I'm thinking, what the heck's going on? Why don't you give me my paper? She went, who wrote this? I said, I did. She went, you have failed almost every test I've ever given you. How can you write this paper? And I explained it to her, and she says, I think you're lying. And I had to give her my phone number, and she called my dad. My dad verified everything, including the fact that I had stayed up Saturday night till almost midnight writing the paper, and then continued writing it on Sunday, and kept revising it to get it to get it to the. I didn't want to go too far, or I would have written a book, but to get it to about what she wanted as far as the page count goes and the word count. And she went, okay. And then she told me if she ever caught me screwing off in her class and not getting decent grades on her tests again, she would not count any of it, and she would just fail me on the spot. And I got an A in her class. It's the only class I got an A in that year. Yeah, generally, this is a really good statement here, because that's generally the way it works. How many people that take their classes in history in college or in school find out that the main reason the Louisiana Purchase went through was because Napoleon wanted to put his empire in the center of America? Yeah. You don't hear that very often. But it wasn't until I got to Europe and started reading about European history, and suddenly the dates started lining up, and I started seeing, okay, this happened here, and this happened here, and actually it happened at the same time. Everything is threaded together. Everything is, it's not just this is happening and this is happening. It's one has an effect on the other. I personally don't think they should teach some local history, but when they teach local history, they should also put it in the context of what's going on in the rest of the world, and not just in the US, but the entire world. And we're finding out now that what we believe is history, a lot of it's not right. A lot of it's wrong. For instance, I was taught when I was in school, of course, part of the ascent of man, the American Indians came over the land bridge from Asia. It turns out there were two land bridges, one coming from Asia, one coming from Europe. So yeah, they found Indians with European blood or European genetics that could trace their ancestry back to some of the earliest peoples in America. How many people realize that some of the South Americans and the ones that were in Mexico ended up migrating into the southeast of the United States? It wasn't the United States at the time, but it is now. The water was a little shallower. They were able to take boats over to the from Mexico to Florida and up into the area. They have records of ships sailing up the Mississippi River and into other areas. And they've found artifacts that shouldn't be there from Europe. So there's a lot of things that have happened in the world that we aren't aware of, and that the historians don't want us to know, because it would change everything. Well, think about it. You had this ice sheet that came south. Do you think it's just going to stop up somewhere in the Arctic, or is it going to come down far enough to have a land bridge going across from Europe over Greenland to Iceland to Greenland into the Americas? It makes sense if you think about it. It didn't just go, well, okay, we're going to take all this ice and put it over here. It went like this, not just one way. The Americas had one of the largest horse populations at one time, but they went extinct in the Americas. Fortunately, they didn't go extinct in other parts of the world, so they were able to bring them back. There's so much good stuff out there about America, about history, and of course, the Egyptologists were saying it doesn't go past 5,000 years. But they've found things that are over 10,000 years old. And not just in Egypt, in other parts of that part of the country, they found buildings or structures. I'm not going to call them actual buildings, I'll call them structures that are 10,000 years old or older. You can't. And then, of course, there's the argument of the creationists saying man was alive with the dinosaurs. And then the other side is, no, they weren't, because the dinosaurs lived millions of years ago and man is only this old. Why can't man be a whole lot older than they think? Just because they don't find fossil evidence of them? Fossils are not the easiest thing to make. Fossils are actually very difficult to make. It takes hundreds of years to make a fossil, unless it's something like in a tar pit where these creatures go and end up stuck in a tar pit, and then they just, okay, La Brea tar pits. There you go. We have tar pits here in Texas too. This is something that's happened. They're talking about extinction events where things died very quickly, and that's why they have fossils of them. I can believe that, because think about the amount of ash that came out of Mount St. Helens. I mean, and Mount Vesuvius before that. And Mount Pinatubo just recently, the amount of ash that it threw up in the air and just settled down, and it's like a blanket. Well, they have they believe now that there's a place in the not too far from Crete where there was a volcano that went up, that's probably the largest volcanic eruption in recorded history. Although it wasn't recorded at the time because they didn't have the way of writing like we do now. But it just obliterated an entire island. And they have found structures that were buried, completely buried in soot and ash, much like the areas in Vesuvius. And this didn't happen over millions of years. Or thousands of years. This happened within days. So it's an interesting thing, history. But I'm going to say Well, Vesuvius was Italy, but there was one in Crete as well, or down by Crete as well, that just blew up the island. And that's yeah, and it was supposedly a very advanced civilization at the time. A lot of people think that Plato was writing about that island when he wrote about Atlantis. So, yeah, there's been some real disasters, and they talk about the Great Flood. Every civilization on Earth, every country has a version of the Great Flood, and Noah's Ark, of course, is what we think of when we think about the Great Flood. But it goes back further than that. There was historical records of a great flood prior to the Bible being written, prior to the books of Genesis being written. So that whole flood thing is very ancient. And if you think about it, when the ice starts to melt, what happens? You end up with a big flood. And if it's raining at the time, you end up with a worse flood. Or if you have a meteorite, well, not necessarily a meteorite, but let's say a small asteroid that plummets into the ocean, what's that going to do? It's going to create one heck of a tidal wave and a big flood. And it's going to throw up so much water and moisture that it's going to rain for a long, long time. So, yeah, it's. I'm not saying the Bible's wrong. I will never say that, because there are things in it that are very much correct. But to me, the Bible is not so much a historical record as a way to teach people how to live together. But there is history in the Bible as well. But history, as we all know, is told by the winning side. If you have a war, the losers aren't going to write the history. The conquerors are going to write the history. And their history, they are going to say, is true and correct. Even though the people that lost and were conquered, they might have a whole different aspect of this history. They might disagree with it entirely and say, no, that's not how it happens. And you can see this even in modern history, or relative modern history. We're going to go back to the American Revolution. Try to take a look at it from the British point of view, and they teach maybe a day or two about the entire revolution. Maybe take 1 or 2 days, and we take months to teach about it. History is written by the winners. I'm sure the history of ancient Rome is entirely different from the history of ancient Egypt when Rome conquered Egypt or took over Egypt. I'm sure it's two different sides of a coin. How you doing, Swamp Picker? Glad you could stop in. We're just chatting about history here. I'm standing on my soapbox. Well, actually, I'm sitting in my chair, but, same thing. Get me started on a subject I enjoy, and I'm going to talk about it for a while. Uh-oh, I'm out of coffee. You can help with that. I have a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee, which everybody is welcome to do anytime they like. I always appreciate it. So, yeah, we get history is told by the winners. The version that the Spaniards give for the Incas and their invasion of Mexico. It's going to be totally different than what the Mexican people would tell if they had survived. Most of the people I'm going to say pre-World War II, more people died from illness and disease and from that sort of thing than were killed in combat. That was particularly true of the Revolutionary War. There were a lot more people that died to disease and sickness than to combat. But they were counted as combat casualties by whatever side was on the other side. The Aztecs were not defeated by the Spaniards. They were defeated by the diseases that the Spaniards brought with them that they had no immunities to. Yeah, everyone will have their own perspective. That is, truer words were never spoken. It's hard to look objectively at history because there's too many different sides to it. Do I believe that man and dinosaurs lived together? To an extent, yeah, I think there were still some dinosaurs around. There may still be some dinosaurs around. You got to remember that not all dinosaurs were big. Matter of fact, the majority of the dinosaur species were man-sized or smaller. There were only a few that grew to mega proportions. The one that I find the funniest was when they started talking about velociraptors in Jurassic Park, and they show this thing that's man-sized, and I'm going, that's not a velociraptor. A velociraptor is only a little bit larger than a large chicken. Did they? Yeah, maybe. A raptor. A chicken is a raptor. An eagle is a raptor. Some may have evolved into birds. Some might not have. I wouldn't call a bird a dinosaur. But and I wouldn't call an alligator or a caiman or a crocodile a dinosaur, because they have been around since the time of the dinosaurs. But that doesn't mean there aren't any around. We have lizards that look very similar to dinosaurs. Komodo dragon. And that's another thing that puzzles me is, why are we so convinced that dragons are fictional when every single country in the world has its own dragon myths? There are no countries that don't have some sort of dragon myth. Did they find actually, they took some of the fossilized bones. They found some bones, and they said these were giant men, when in reality they were dinosaur fossils. How you doing, Roy? Did you ever go get your mail? I'm interested to know what you thought about the extra item I put in there as your Christmas present that I worked very hard on. Yeah, I've got some fossils laying around here somewhere. I've got some arrowheads laying around somewhere. Open it right now. I want you to open it right now and then put it in chat what you think. Of course, it's going to take him 10 minutes to get into it. Now as in now. Do you want me to send you a link so you can open it on open it live? I'll do that. I'll send you a link and you can open it live right here if you like. An hour later. I've never had an hour later. Yeah, you might. You might have Skittles. I sent you a few. Nah, he can just put his hat on. He'll be fine. Put some clothes on. That's all he's got to do. I'm surprised you still have those. I figured you would have eaten them by now. I'll send out some more candy next time I send stuff out. I still have some dum-dums here. And I might even still have a couple of these. Use your teeth. Yeah, good luck finding the end of my shrink wrap. I did send Roy a link if he wants to come on and show it off. Show what I sent him. Like I said, I worked hard on it. Worked on that thing for almost 2 weeks. Second layer of film. Yeah. I want to make sure if the package gets wet, the inside items aren't damaged. Yeah, garbage bags work, but I don't trust them. My shrink wrap, I know, is not going to go. It's not going to get through my 2 to 3 layers of shrink wrap. No way. Not going to let it happen. Not going to get through my shrink wrap. And then, of course, there's the bubble wrap. Speaking of shrink wrap, want to make sure this gets to the person that ordered it in one piece. Everybody waiting on Roy. Yes, it is. Let's see if I can make her work. I don't know if I have the batteries in this one or not. I guess I might have taken the batteries out. Yeah, I took the batteries out. But when the batteries are in, the lights flash all up and down here. That's Rainbow Lights Mermaid Barbie from 2017. I'd let it go for 20. I've got 25 on it. And now the other one, the hair is chopped off on, so I do that for like 5. Yes, the Frankenstein comic that I showed me washing the cover of, I finished it. It took me about 2 weeks to do. I put it all back together, and then I sent it to Roy as a present. It's one that he talked about buying, but I didn't want to charge him for it because it was in pretty bad shape. So if you look closely, you can find the water stains. But like I said, I worked hard on that. And I literally took it apart and did every single page. Yes, it's a full conservation. I wouldn't count. If you sent it in, it probably wouldn't count as restored because it was done correctly with the parts that I had to fill in were done with Tengujo paper, Japanese rice paper, and I used the appropriate glues on it the way it's supposed to be done. I believe it was Ernie Chan cover, yeah. I'm just glad you like it. I have taken covers off of square-bound comics and then put them on correctly, and I've also taken square-bound comics that the covers had come off of and put them on correctly. That's the first time I did a full disassembly of a square-bound comic, and it was not easy. I had a backup plan. If I ruined it, I was going to buy another one and send it to you. Yeah, he'll have to do a video of it. I might have a picture of it. I don't know if I took a picture of it after I finished it or not. Let me see if I have a picture of it. I don't think I did. I don't think I took a picture of that once it was finished. Maybe I did. This might be a before picture. No, this is after. There it is. That's the one I sent him. I'm pretty sure that's an after picture because the stain was right down in here or right over in here, and I don't see it now. So that's the after picture. I don't have a before. So yeah, I was pretty proud of the way that turned out. I kind of wanted to keep it, but I had already promised myself that I was going to send it to Roy. So if you look closely, if you open up and read it and look closely at the spines, you'll see where I did some repair work to it. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for me. My voice is about to die on me, and I'm out of coffee. Like I said, how can it be Wednesday night coffee if I don't have any coffee? So make sure you're here on Friday, or not here, but make sure you're on Horizon Picks channel on Friday night so you can watch him and I believe Mr. U this week. And oh, this is gonna Jocelyn, look at what it is. But it has a chip in it, and there's no way I'm going to sell it. So, you know, you got to remember, I drink like 4 or 5 of those a day, and sometimes more. So, yes, Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan. If I ever do decide to get rid of it, I will send it to you, Jocelyn. Okay. But that's going to be it for me tonight. Like I said, make sure you go check out Horizon Picks channel. Don't have a link in the description right now, but he's going to put one. He's going to post one in the comments in just a second, and then I will make sure it is in the description a little bit later, or maybe do a modification once this is posted to you or to YouTube. So that we can all get it. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and too damn early on the West Coast. So, have yourself a great rest of the week, and I will see you next Wednesday, unless I get warm enough for me to do another video. And in the meantime, everybody have a great night and have a good sleep. And we'll see you then. Bye.